I did a lot since my last video, and I painted everything down here. I got like 4 cans of that undercoating on here, and I actually used a couple different kinds, but I found that I liked this one the best. And I actually got this from Fleet Farm, I suppose, Farm and Fleet, wherever you go. But that's where I found this auto body undercoating by Tight Seal, Gunk, I don't know. So yeah, this is kind of like rubberized rust corrosion, muffles sound and stuff. So I seem to get the best out of that, and it's actually one of the cheaper ones too. I used a Rust-Oleum undercoating, which seemed a little bit thinner, and it didn't cover quite as much. The can was probably just as big. It was a little more expensive, so I used 5 cans in total, of a combination of a couple different brands. And then, as you can see, I put the gas tank in, which was a real pain, and with the straps at least. I think the last video, I don't know if I said that I just put a light coating on the gas tank of the undercoating as well. And I've heard some people say not to do it because of condensation in the winter, and you could get, you could keep the condensation in there and you could get water in the tank. But I'm not sure, I don't know. It's a real thin coating. And so I did that, and then these straps to get these on, I got some new bolts here I put on the under part, which is like that. This is the bad one that I pulled, and I used this off the other truck that I had, the good one. Got that painted too under there. And so I actually had to bolt on, take those rivets. There's 2 rivets underneath there. You can see them right here. And I just I drilled 2 holes in, and then I just bolted it down. I'm not sure how well it's gonna hold up or whatever, so I might try to get some longer screws in there or something. I'm not really sure. I don't have it tightened down all the way. I just got it in enough, but and then this one, you have to feed this bolt through, and that's really difficult because to get it down in that hole. And then these straps right here, they have this wasn't dented in. I actually pushed it in. It was kind of hard to do. So it was kind of hard to get this in here. So what I ended up doing was really hard, especially by myself, but I think, I wasn't even sure if I was going to do it, but I ended up taking some ratchet straps, and I put the straps around here and then just kind of ratcheted it down so it just enough so I got it in there, which worked out really good. So I have to kind of tighten that down some more. Also, these bolts, there's this bolt over here, and I use the old clip that kind of holds it in place. It's all rusty, but it'll do. And then there's this one here, which I still have to tighten the rest of the way. And it's a long bolt, and there's got a clip in there too. This was kind of hard too, because it, by hand you're holding it way down here, this strap, so you have to kind of screw it in, and it pulls it in. And the same thing with this. I think that this lip here kind of prevents it from really getting tight. But that bolt, I'll show you, I actually had a different bolt here that I had bought from the hardware store, because mine was a little stripped. The threads were actually really good on the old one, but this was a little stripped, so I thought, well, I'll buy a new one. I didn't really think about it. I couldn't find one with the thread all the way through. Maybe if I would have looked a little harder, but you have to get a certain kind of hardness and everything. So I bought this, and it didn't work because you need it all the way through, or at least pretty close. So I use the old one. I just have to tighten it now. And this was kind of turning on me, so I didn't want it to break or turn all the way when I put it in, so I'm going to have to do something, get some clamps or something, and I'll screw that back in. But I just kind of put this on. Now these I clamped on. This was kind of, Focusing. This was, I used some new hoses and some good ones and some new clamps and some old clamps, but I just picked out what was good. It's nice to have two different vehicles, and this I think will work real good. I got it real tight on there, and some people say, well, you know, especially these two lines with the highest pressure, you just want to make sure that the pressure is going to go the same and you're not going to have any leaks, but I think it'll work. I'm going to put this all back on. Yes, and I put a couple gallons of gas in there. And we'll see, and then, you know, you put this down, and that's the ground. And there's a ground on this thing, which I don't think it's necessary to put it on. Because, I mean, isn't this kind of ground? I mean, you got the tank and everything, it's grounded. But I'll still probably find a place to put this on the body or something, guys. I don't know. Let's see, what else did I do? Then I think I showed that I spray painted, maybe I didn't spray paint the muffler last video, but I used a 2000 high temp, kind of sanded it down a little, and so I have to bake that on there, you know, when I start the truck up. So I didn't go all the way through, but did that. And then under here I have these U-bolts here, because what happened here is I took the shocks off to just check them out. I see how good they are. I think I'm gonna order some drop shocks, some Beltec Nitro drop shocks they make. So that seemed to be the best choice. Everything else was real expensive. I checked some stores around the area and O'Reilly, and they're real expensive, and they don't really make specific drop ones, or if they do, they're expensive, I think. So these, I'm gonna have to, you know, I pulled them out because they're not like rusty really or anything, so I thought they'd be good. And you push down, I don't know what people might think about this, but, and look, it's kind of just real slow. And I'm not sure if it should be faster. I'm not sure. These might be really cheap shocks, I think, to begin with. They're probably like the $20 shocks. So thinking that I'll just get some new ones, Beltec, instead of, I was hoping to replace those, but they were a real pain getting out. There's that mounting bolt there at the end, and it were a real pain to get this bushing out. So I had to like hammer it out, and I was trying to clamp it up, but there's nothing really to get it onto. So you'll get it. You just gotta keep turning. I think I like unscrewed it basically. And then this side, I took this off. I don't know if I showed in the video either, but this one should have the bolt coming out, the nut coming out of here. It broke right off. So it just twisted off like butter. I think it was really rusty in this area. Doesn't look like it should have broken off, but clean break. So these weren't too bad, but luckily with the other truck, I'm able to pull them off the other vehicle. And what I did was, the other vehicle, I have a grinder wheel here, and then so I used a cutoff tool in here, and I just cut the U-bolts off, because you can't reuse U-bolts because they do kind of stretch. They're kind of a one-time use thing. So I bought some new ones at AutoZone for $22 for a set of 4 of these U-bolts with the nuts. And so anyway, I cut them off both vehicles, and because it's real long, and I just didn't want to unscrew the threads really fine on these, so I just didn't feel like unscrewing all of them. And then the other truck, these are actually these are really good. So I kind of cleaned them up, sanded down, and painted them, and so that worked out, even though I broke that original one. So when I put these on, and I screwed it on, I cut some beforehand. You can see I kind of like, I'm kind of never done this before, so I cut some beforehand. Probably cut it a little too short, but, and you can't, it's such a fine thread, so it was hard to screw it on. So I thought, I'm just going to screw them on, hand tighten it, and then I'll cut them today. So I'm just going to cut over here just enough so I can get, really what the purpose is, so I can get, I have a long, I think the ones you buy in the store are 3/4. So I bought a long or a deep socket, but it still didn't get all the way up there, so that's why I have to cut them. So that's 3/4, and then I suppose it depends on the vehicle, but I don't know, I had to buy a bunch of different sockets. This one I think is like 22 millimeter, I think. And then under here, I don't really remember, but I'm gonna kind of try that out. Test out different sockets. I think it's 22, 21. It was actually different on the 87 versus mine. So 89. So I'm gonna do that next. Tighten those up, and well, I gotta start it up, see if it works. The gas tank, there's no leaks or anything. I'm probably gonna grease this up a little too, make sure it doesn't, rust or anything either. And then under here, I think I showed a little bit what I was doing with the gas lines, but I replaced the filter, and I just kind of replaced it with what it had before. But I replaced the hoses and clamped them on, because that's what they had before, and that ended up being kind of expensive because that filter, they were rusty on both sides. These bolts, or the fuel lines that go into in each side, there's two of the fuel lines, and then those bolts that go into each side. They were both really rusty, so I had to I just took the whole thing out and I had to replace it. And each fuel line, it's 3/8. Each fuel line has, I think you have to buy one, and it's got like the one end on it, and it cost like $14. So basically like $30 for that setup, not including the fuel filter. But I got it working, I think. It should hold up. And then I got some of those, the 1/4 inch and the 5/16 lines are both put on by compression fittings there. And so I got them pretty tight, so hopefully it won't leak or anything. I got some zip ties in there to get it up there. Forgot to mention that. So let's see what else. And next thing I'm gonna do is this drive shaft here. There is, you got these weight welds on here, and underneath you can feel right here. There is, it's almost like somebody must have tried to, I don't know if it was bumped or they tried to like jack it over there for some reason. I didn't, but there's a flat spot, like someone jacked up there or something. I don't know. So it's out of balance and there's a little vibration. These U joints are probably pretty good, but I'm still gonna take it out. I'm not sure exactly how this works, but I have one from the other truck, the 87. It's the same thing set up here. And I don't need the front one, so I'll just need to replace. So, but this is good. This actually looks a little rustier, than mine. But hopefully it's all even. I'll just kind of sand it down and clean it up. Probably paint it too. And these are bad, I think. I think there's a part that's broke on here or something. So I'm going to try to pop these out if I can. I got a C-clamp that I'm going to use. I'm not really sure how to do that, but I'm going to figure something out. Now the other thing is, how do I take this off? It looks like it just unscrews or something. I'm not really sure. Here there's like a oil fit or a grease fitting. I don't know. I'm gonna try to figure that out. See if I can find some videos online or something. And this one seems good. So we will see. But I did buy new U-bolts at O'Reilly today. I got them right here, and they're only $9. So, and front and back, I guess, are the same for this truck. So I got these Master Pro ones, but I'm gonna see, if I can use those other ones. And I thought, you know, for $9 it doesn't hurt. And I had to buy a clamp because I didn't have a big enough one. So we'll try that out, see if I can remove those. And the guy at the store was like, you don't even need a clamp. But I thought, well, I'm going to just in case. So it's only like $8. And I got some of this transmission fluid that I'm going to use to make penetrant. And you mix it 50-50 with acetone. So I have to get some acetone though. I didn't get that yet, but that's for later. So yeah, that's my next step, and I'll show a video probably of this. The only thing, like I said, I'm not going to make a video because I'm not sure what I'm doing right now. So until I actually do it, I'll show you guys what I ended up doing and how it worked before I make the video. So I'll kind of do after video. Hopefully that's kind of a good how-to. Alright, that's about it. We'll see you in a bit.